Welcome back to Whitt Acres. Today we are going to be talking about ponds. I built 2 small ponds last week to test them out, test out the filter system that I'm using before we dig a big pond out in the landscape. So I built a bog filter onto our dog pool and put a little pump in there for circulation, and I'll show you that. And then I also built a little patio pond with a waterfall, and I put a bog filter on that since the last time you saw it. Alright, I'll show you where we're at. Right here is my patio pond that I built out of just a 20-gallon bucket I got from Lowe's, one of the pond liners. It's supposed to, I think, be sunk into the ground, but I have it just sitting here on the patio. I filled it up with some river rock and put some pumps in there. I put one pump in there to feed the waterfall, which I think turned out great. And then I put another smaller pump in there to feed the bog filter, which pumps up and out back to the bog filter back there, and then gravity flows through this bamboo pipe back into the pond, creating some more oxygen right there too. I have these fake lotus flowers sitting on the pond right now because it's sunny, and that helps shade it, help keep it cool. I have an elephant ear planted up in the middle, and it's actually taken on a lot of growth since I put it in last time. Leaves are getting a lot bigger. Got a new leaf coming in right there, so that's doing well. Got some coleus here that's doing just fine too, sitting just barely in the water. I put 6 minnows and 6 goldfish in the water last time, and you can see at least one there. It's hard because there's a lot of crevices in the river rock, so they can hide very well. You have to sit here and watch them for a while before you can actually count all 6 of them, but I do, and I enjoy it. But I built a bog filter for this because the fish need a filter. So I got a bucket from Lowe's, 5-gallon bucket, and in that bucket, I think I have some photos I can put up. I put a clay iris pot or orchid pot, which actually has slots in the sides of it, and I put that upside down in the bottom to create a void space for the water. And then I put river rock in around that. The intake from the pond going into the bog filter is put right into the bottom drainage hole of that orchid pot, so it can shoot into the void space first, start slowing down, and then work its way through large river rock like I have in the pond. And then I have a mesh bag like you see up here full of river stone, probably golf ball size or so, and then I have pea gravel bags placed on top of that, so the water has to work its way through all the different layers of stone, and then gravity flows back through that bamboo back into the pond. Seems to be working. It's just started, so it'll take some time for the bacteria to colonize the stone and actually start nitrifying bacteria to colonize the stone and start cleaning the water, taking the ammonia out. I also plugged in some extra flag irises I had, dug them up, and just put them straight into the water. We'll see how they do. I just put that in, and that's actually a pumpkin right there that I have getting some water from the top of that bog filter. But yeah, it's just a 5-gallon bucket with some stone in it, and it's circulating my pond water, trying to keep it clean. So far, I can take these out for a second. The water is nice and clear. I put an LED light in there so I can see them at night. They're a little bit more active at night, but through the bubbles you can see them swimming around in there. My dad picked me up a underwater plant. I didn't get the name from him, but that plant can actually grow completely under the water. little speckles on it. That's nice. Still have a minnow, and I counted 6 goldfish last night, so I have 2 minnows and 6 goldfish at least that I know of. But we'll see how it works over the next few weeks or so. Goldfish are pretty hardy, but that pond's been working out pretty good. We enjoy the sound on the patio now, and the waterfall I think turned out great. This is my dog pool that I turned into a mock pond with a bog filter and an intake bay. A couple changes from last time. I changed the intake bay into a filter box that is actually made for ponds that you put a pump into, and it sucks the water through this top that actually goes through some filter material, the mesh screen, fish screen, aquarium filter, but it goes through some mechanical filters and then into the so one change I made from last time is this filter box that is actually made for pumps in ponds, and what it does is mechanically filter the water before it drains down into the bottom of the container where the pump is housed. And it also has some little balls in there to help the bacteria colonize onto, to help it also has some balls in there to help the nitrifying bacteria colonize and help clean it in there, so that will work as a good intake bay. And that's pretty much what I want to do with the large intake bay, except it'll be aggregate stone instead of mechanical filtration. But it flows up through the tube past the T-fitting, which helps it from siphoning out the gunk in the bottom if the pump ever shuts off. Then it'll go down into the bottom of this container, which I turned into a dark tote to help keep the sun off the water for a longer period of time. I think that'll help clean the water. It's supposed to help the bacteria colonize as well. But in that tote is the same setup I had in the other tote, and I'll try and put a photo up this time of what it looks like. And it has the plastic tote there for a snorkel, a riser, and that is so you can drop a sub pump in there and pump out the gunk every so often whenever it builds up. And then in the bottom of that snorkel has a centipede or a lateral pipe that has some slots cut in it, and that goes into that riser, so when you pump out of that as well. And the water enters that lateral pipe with the slots, and that'll help slow it down. It's corrugated drain pipe, so that'll help slow down the water, and all the sediment that's in it can start falling out of it. It'll go into a void space I made with a little basket, just a plastic basket I put upside down over the pipe to help keep the stones from hugging the pipe too much. So that void space will help the water slow down, and then it'll start working through the larger river stone like you see here. I have the large river stone around that basket, and then I have the golf ball sized river stone on top of that, and then a layer of pea gravel on top of that, so the water has to filter through all the different levels, and it should pretty much get all the sediment out before it goes into this flower pot that I sunk just far enough for the water to flow out of the pipe. I also put a mechanical screen filter right there in the bottom to cover up the holes of the pot, so it has to go through that as well, and it seems to be working. The pool's got a nice flow because one of the additions is this pump. This is a little fountain pump that has suction cup stuck to the side of my intake bay, and it's pushing water constantly out. And if you watch the bubbles, you can see there's a current running along the outside of the pool over to the intake bay. It keeps a pretty good current because all the sediment falls to the center of the pool, because it has a nice current going around the outside now. So the pool's still getting a little green, getting the film on it, but it is clean and clear, so it's working, I guess. I want these pools and ponds to run for a while and filter for a long time so the bacteria can really colonize the bog filters I made. It can take up to 8 weeks for that to happen, to actually get a sizable amount of bacteria in there, good bacteria, to really start cleaning the water, because it can take up to 8 weeks to have the nitrifying bacteria colonize in the bog filter up to a point that it's able to actually clean the water sufficiently. So I'll have to let these go and run for a while and then check back on them later. So I'll be putting up an update video later on whenever there's something more to update. And if you'd like to see any more of these pond videos, go ahead and put a comment down below, let me know, and I'll try and get some more out there. You can see me and Echo on the next one. Thanks for watching.